Welcome back. It's Wednesday, and today is the first day of the government shutdown. Today is the first day where the government has completely shut down, so we're all waking up to that. But as we all know, there was a deadline of September 30th. So here we are. Yes, the United States government has once again ground to a halt, not because of anything we did, but as this is what is happening with the political games and the power struggles happening in Congress with the current administration. So I wanna walk us through what is happening on the ground, what's shutting down, what's still open, and most importantly, why this matters for women. And let's be clear, when the government fails, women are the first ones to feel it. Women, girls, children are the first ones to feel it. So, what's shut down and what's not? So, let's break it down. So, what's closed or delayed? So, federal agencies deemed a non essential shut their doors. That includes many social services that women and families depend on, like childcare subsidies, Head Start programs, and housing assistance. I had a question is if the post office is open. The post office is open as it is a self-funded entity. So yes, the post office is open. So go ahead and send some postcards to your senators, I would say. So nutrition programs like WIC, the special supplemental nutrition program for women, infants, and children are already running out of funds. So millions of women and children that rely on this for healthy food and formula are going to see a little bit of a struggle because without funding, the families are going to be left scrambling. So we're hoping for the shutdown to not be as long as the last shutdown under Trump's administration, the first go round. So domestic violence shelters that depend on federal grants are on edge as well. For many women, these shelters are a lifeline. A pause in funding puts survivors in danger. And then federal workers, many of whom are women, think TSA agents, clerks, researchers, park rangers are being sent home without pay, currently being furloughed, as they would say. But the president did say that there would be layoffs. That hasn't been announced, but we are expecting layoffs. So others are working without pay. That means that single mothers are being asked to shoulder the load of keeping our government running without knowing how they're going to make rent, buy groceries, gas for their car, any of that. So what stays open? So I do want to mention that what stays open is the military stays open. The military continues to work. Border Patrol and ICE, as we know, is fully funded and is insanely funded. And so they will continue to work. So the cruelty will continue. Congress members will still be getting paid. Let that sink in. The very people who have caused the shutdown, the senators and the congressmen will keep earning their paychecks, will keep their paychecks. They're going to be sent home. Most will be going back to their districts and hopefully working with their communities, but they do receive paychecks now. Who doesn't receive paychecks and are withheld pay is their employees. So congressmen, their employees, senators, their employees do not receive pay until the government opens. They are eligible for back pay, but try telling that to your landlord. I'm waiting on back pay. So while women and children are left with less, our politicians are still getting paid. So again, I urge you to send a postcard, call their offices to make sure that they understand what you stand for. So Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security checks will still go out for now, but the offices that handle questions, new applications will be slowed, have less staffing, or just shuttered. So that's problematic because our seniors that are looking for information on their Social Security check or their benefits may not get answers soon. So So why this matters. So I want to talk about why it matters. And I woke up feeling frazzled around it because is it politics as usual? Is it Washington failing? But the realistic part is that women make up the majority of the low wage workers, the federal workers that may be furloughed, that may be completely let go, are gonna feel the absence of a paycheck and it's gonna feel like a recession. So we're hoping that that issue around the government closure doesn't last too long. We're hoping that we do get what we want, which is health care. The fight is around health care and that ugly bill that they passed. So the fight is around that. So we know that women are the backbone of families, the ones who figure out how to feed their kids, the ones that figure out, how to budget when their whip cards stop working. So women as caregivers can't just wait it out, right? So we've got to make sure that we have a system for them to plug back in and let's not ignore this. The politicians who preach family values are allowing these programs to literally be shuttered. And so when we talk about feeding families and family values, those are not family values. It's cruelty disguised as politics. So day one of the shutdown, that's what's going on. Hopefully, they can figure it out and that it is not a long shutdown like the first one under this administration during his first term. So, coming up, I have Keren Taylor from Bright Girl. And she's going to talk to us about mentoring, about what it means for girls. And when girls use their voice, we change the world. So stay tuned and thank you for joining us. Hi, everybody. Welcome back. I'm Emiliana Cuereca, your host. And today I have with me Keren Taylor as our guest from Right Girl. So thank you for joining us, Keren.
Of course, glad to
Um,
be here.
I want to dive into if you can tell me a little bit about yourself, what's inspired your journey, and to do the work that you do, which is critical.
Thank you so much. I'm a writer. I'm a poet. I've been a songwriter for many years, and I think, I mean, for me, I always know the power of writing to sort out what I'm thinking in my head, to make sense of it, to share my stories, to plan ahead, to just enjoy the world, process what's happening in the world. And I think a number of years ago, I really felt compelled to want to help teenage girls develop that same passion. It was just 3 months after 9/11, so not an accident that I started Right Girl. And some of the women that I gathered 24 years ago are still involved today, which is super exciting as volunteers and mentors. And I think, it hasn't changed a whole lot from when it started all those years ago. It's all Right Girl is all about helping teen girls discover the power of their voice, be out loud and not quiet. And it's sort of always using women writers to help guide them, to help inspire them. And that core fundamental principle is still with us today. It's in our mission. And it's really great that we've been able to really stay on track and do that now for thousands of girls.
It's even more critical, I'm
Yeah.
finding, to make sure that we mentor, that we support our girls. I'm one of 13 kids and
Ah, wow.
probably the most outspoken girl, and it started with writing. So I in my teenage years. So
Oh, that's great. So you personally know how that is. And oh, that's amazing. 13. Oh my goodness.
absolutely. But I think as a teenager, once you find your voice, you tend to continue to advocate around issues because it's such a critical point for girls. Um,
Definitely. I think, there's so many forces as a teenage girl or gender expansive youth that press on you to make you quiet, to make you shrink, to make you want to blend, and to make you not want to disrupt. And we have to shift that because, girls need to be seen and heard, and, they need to know that it's okay to take up space and it's okay to raise your voice and it's okay to make people upset. And, this world will not change until women are more firmly in places of power and authority.
Absolutely. And I think for me, like my grandma always said, it is okay to disagree. It is okay to say, "No, I'm not comfortable with that," and I think more girls need to hear that.
Yeah, definitely. And be comfortable with what it feels like to upset someone else, to make someone disagree with you. That's a hard thing to sit with sometimes,
Oh,
you
absolutely,
know?
absolutely. Okay, so of my staff asked me to ask you questions.
Okay.
So, right, girl, it's a creative writing. Do we think that it lends itself to activism, that it flows into activism?
I think it's maybe the most powerful form of activism because in activism, we're trying to activate others. We're trying to ignite an idea in a community and have people take action. And what better way to do that than to use creativity, to use the power of storytelling, to compel people emotionally to take action. So it's one thing to just, list the ways the environment needs to change or the government needs to change, but it's another to tell a story about how it has or how it could be. And I think we're seeing our teen girls taking their creative ideas and going to Washington and becoming public policy analysts. Oh, I know this is a very tough time for them to be doing such a thing, but we want them to be doing it nonetheless. And it's their creativity, they tell us, that really fuels what they're doing.
Absolutely. And I think most people don't realize how active teens are in activism. I mean, if we look at environment, it's teens. If we look at racial justice, it's teens leading this, right? The gun violence, it's teens leading this. So I think
Yes,
it's so critical to highlight that.
it is, and I think, for them, the future is very for all of us, it can be very difficult to look ahead and imagine positive change, but for them to see decades ahead of them in their young life, the very real feeling of, "I want this to be a different life than what I'm feeling it is right now." I think they're more compelled than any of us to try to make that change happen.
Absolutely, and but I also think that they've grown into the new teenage. I think when I we were sort of outspoken, but I've seen it more. I've got 2 teenage sons, and I'm like, "Yes, do more of that." So, and make sure that they journal because I do think it's
Right.
really important, to journal, to put those feelings down on paper.
Yes.
I want to ask you, what has surprised you the most about the stories they're telling today?
I think when our alums come back to us, I think the stories that still surprise me are how much they carry of things they experienced in Right Girl with them. I mean, they tell us it was the compassion, persistence, and commitment of their mentors and our staff that gave them this sense of belonging, this sense of knowing that people believed in them, that they still carry to this day, because it was sort of so those fundamental years when they really needed that. They needed somebody to say, you can do this, you have a voice, you're important, what you say or do matters in the world, and you have something valuable to contribute. And we give that message just all the time. That's sort of our foundational message that we want all teens to hear and know and believe, and not just hear from us superficially, but believe it in their core. And they tell us later that that still is with them, that they believe that, and they come back and they want to be volunteers. And we have several now that are mentors with us and several that are teaching artists, teaching incarcerated youth in the community. And I'm so grateful for them on their own volition, wanting to come back and to be of service and to be part of this community, many years later, beyond their teen years.
Absolutely. And I was going to go ask you how many of them come back, right? Because we know and we see it that mentorship changes the trajectory for young women, right? And so I
Yes.
do think that's critical. And so when you're talking about them coming back, I mean, that's just, oh, that's
It's
beautiful.
really great. It's really a kind of a small percentage at this point, but I think what I love about that is it's highly organic. We don't really tell them to do that or promote it. it's always there for them to come back and be a mentor and go through the training program and get a background check and, really step into that role. But I love that we don't really have sort of a program for them to do that. It's just available for them to do that. So the organic nature of young women coming back and wanting to do that on their own, I think is the most powerful, more powerful than we could ever hope if we just sort of told them to do it, you know?
But I think that's very interesting for women. I think that we always come back and help pull up the rest of us. That's very part of who we are. Uh,
Yes, I agree.
what I did want to ask, what have you seen stay the same or change? You said you started this after 9/11. What has surprised you and what has changed and what has remained the same?
Oh, that's a really good question. I mean, the needs of girls and gender expansive youth have grown. So I would say I thought when we started this, we wouldn't need it anymore after 5 years, and we need it now more than ever. And I think out in the world, equity for women is still very far away. It's very much out of our reach, which is shocking to me in a way. But I think what's remained consistent is the passion of, as you say, women who want to come back and support young women and share their knowledge, their expertise, their creative ideas, their best practices, all that they've learned along the way and help young women sort of get a, speedway to
Yeah.
getting their creativity going and getting their confidence up. I think that continues to be persistent through all the years. I'm sure there's lots of other things too. That's such an interesting question because in many ways, like I've never really explained it this way, but I kind of feel like we're this bubble that we've just continued through, almost 25 years now of being remarkably consistent, of bringing mentors to help teen girls, you know, one-on-one mentoring, but also group workshops. And it's still so much needed. We just still continue to have teen girls and, like I say, gender expansive youth come to us and say, when's the next workshop? Can I work with a mentor? You know, my mom told me I should come do this and I didn't really want to. And then a month later, like, thank you. Can you read my writing? Is there another workshop I can go to? The passion on the side of the volunteers and the need on the side of the girls is still absolutely strong after all these years.
It's absolutely needed, and I think when we get into work like this, we think, "Oh, it won't be needed in a while," and it still is. I mean,
Yeah,
when we hosted our first Women's March, I thought I was gonna go back to work and just it wasn't gonna be needed. It was
right.
one and done, and it's like, "No, we need it more than ever because
Yeah.
we regressed a bit as it pertains to, women and girls' rights."
Absolutely. And I think it's really hard to maintain that energy, maintain that focus. Like we all do want it to be one and done. Let me just go do this thing, learn this thing, and then I can put it behind me. But the world is always turning and things are always changing and not always for the better. And our desire to want to improve things has to be matched by our willingness to write it down and go work on it because the work is never over.
Absolutely. Do you think I'm gonna ask about AI. Do you think because when we think about writing, do you think that AI may replace some of this? Because I think it's not. I think you can't replace the creativity.
Well, it's a complicated question. I would say it is being replaced in many circumstances. The way desktop publishing allowed us all to become graphic designers, right? You know what I mean? Like lots
Yeah.
of people said, oh, the tools are now available for me to make my own posters, business cards, signs. So everybody did it. And we saw the quality decline because of that. So I think we're seeing some of that with AI. I mean, maybe it's not the best comparison, but we are seeing some replacement of writing and documents being created by AI. But you're right that what can't be replaced is the human story. I mean, one of the most fascinating questions I continue to ask myself is what is not on the internet, not available to AI, right? What is not there? And what isn't there is any story that you have never written and put on the internet, right? That story does not exist in AI because you have not written it, you have not put it there. And there's always more stories that you can tell about your own life, about your
Experience.
ancestors.
The
So
story, the experience isn't there.
Right, and then the nuances of how you tell that story and the sensory details you bring in. I mean, AI is really powerful, but I think there are ways that we can use it to enhance our own creativity. It's great as a story starter or giving us an outline or giving us some research or helping us brainstorm. There's really great ways to use it, and we are actually doing that with our youth is bringing to them little nuggets of how you can use AI effectively that doesn't squash your own creativity or take away from your own voice, but enhance it, use it. What a powerful tool to say, "Okay, I don't have to do a first draft. I can throw the information into AI, get my first draft, and then I get to work, putting my voice
Absolutely.
into it, my stories, my details, you know?
And the time it takes for research, I remember sitting and then just like, okay, do I have the facts right? So I think if used correctly, it will enhance.
You can't believe it all and you can't trust it all, right? That's another big part of it is that that first draft or that research may be incorrect. I just heard about AI slop today, the idea that
What is that?
it's just basically AI generating stuff that has a lot of errors in it, not consistent, things that are not valuable. And now there's a whole industry developing over AI fixers, people that are going to come in and fix what AI broke. So there is going to be a growing need for that, right?
Well, for girls to be in that, for women to be in
Yes.
that, because AI right now, as I'm seeing it, is a very male dominated
Yes,
sphere.
it's like the tech boom all over again, right? It's gonna take some work for women to, find a way again to build their confidence and walk into those rooms and say, "I can contribute here," and show how. But I think that's a really exciting new development in a way, like, AI will not replace us. It's
Absolutely.
it's not possible.
So I'm going to mention because we are in the first day of the government shutdown. So I do want to ask, what do you think the part of the storytelling, do you think it could be a political act when we have girls tell their story?
Always. In many ways, just writing about your ancestry, writing stories of what you would like to see in the world. It's become more political than ever before. I'm sort of getting emotional thinking about it because so many of our teens are impacted by the decisions of the government. Teens have told us they don't want to leave their home because of the ICE raids. They're fearful. Our DACA recipients are wondering, will they have health insurance? Will they be able to stay here? And we don't have answers for them right now. And we have girls we're working with in Afghanistan, other parts of the world that are also dealing with incredible challenges. And I don't have answers for these things, but I know that there's power in writing about it. There's power in believing in the long story, right? There's your moment right now, but life is short, but it's also long. If you can
Absolutely.
hang in there and get through some of these really terrible moments and terrible challenges, and Frank taught us that there's
Yeah.
another something on the other side, and your stories can benefit others in tremendous ways that maybe you can't see right now.
Absolutely, and I also think there's power in documenting. There's power in
Yes,
documenting because what
definitely.
is being told, what is being put out there isn't the truth, isn't the experience for these teens, and
Yeah.
these teens are truly, truly resilient. This is the age where they got hit with COVID.
Yeah.
Schools, right? And
Yeah. Yeah, I know their life experience is truly extraordinary, and they don't really know that. And when you're in it, you don't know that it's extraordinary or unusual. And I think one of the things we really try to do is help people capture the details of their stories because it's those details of the exact colors and smells and moments and words that really help a book and story come alive. So that's part of our mission is to help them understand how to document what's going on in their lives and really capture it in a way that others can see it and feel it and experience it along with you.
oh, you're making me want to write again.
Good.
Document that story. So I was one of those kids. My parents were deported when I was a kid, so
Oh
I've
my
been
gosh.
through the raids, and as a teenager, you don't know how it's going to play out for you. But I think writing, documenting was important as a teenager. So I
That's so great. And your story is so important too. Like for those teens, imagine all these years later, teens are experiencing some of a different version of maybe what you experienced. And for them to be able to hear your story and see you here, vibrant, alive, doing something, speaking out, making your own voice heard, that's really powerful.
Absolutely. And I didn't know, but I was supposedly rebelling when I'm up at midnight writing and mom wants me to go to sleep and, stop bugging everybody. But realistically, I do think that writing it down, I think Right Girl is what we need for our teens to continue to use their voice, but importantly, document their feelings and what is
Yes.
happening around them.
And then the creative writing too is such a powerful, writing a fictional story, writing a graphic novel, being able to sort of escape the reality of what is happening around us too is equally as important. And that isn't just pure escapism. That's sort of stimulating your brain to start thinking of other options, other alternatives, other ways of living and being. And that's really important too, because we can get sort of trapped in our own mind that this is my world and these are my choices and this is all I can do, and that's not necessarily true. There are other ways of living, ways of being, people you can connect with, things you could do, even if you're limited, even if your choices are limited, there's still things that maybe you haven't thought of yet. And creative writing can help you access those fresh ideas and fresh approaches and think outside of the world you're in.
So, and the creativity around it, right? Like, how do we live in a whole other world? I used to think I was going to travel the world, even though I was stuck in Chicago in like a studio apartment with 10 people. But I want to ask, what would you say to Right Girl alum or young girls, like words to live by, to build resilience?
I just wrote this down the other day because I was thinking about that. I was writing an email to one of our teens who's going through some challenges right now. And I wrote down something I wanted to share with her, which is believe in the power of your unique voice and the positive impact of your creative work. And I love that that sentence has all these words in it that I love, but it ends with work. And in a way, there's something sort of powerful about that idea that even creativity, you have to work to develop it. It's not something you can wait for a lightning strike to happen or a brilliant idea to just come to you. You have to do the work of writing and have a belief that it means something and that there will be some gold at the end of that journey.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's like you may have all these ideas and all of this talent, but it takes work.
Yeah.
All of it takes work.
Yeah.
Um, whew, yes, I'm like ready to mentor to write.
Oh, excellent. I'll reach out. We'd love to
Yeah,
have you as a mentor for sure.
absolutely.
Great.
So I'm going to close out this segment with really, really thanking you for joining us. And I love that sentence about believe and work on it because I do think that that is what's going to be needed as we continue to work on equality for girls and women. And it's going to take people like you that helps our girls get to equality, but more importantly, to use their voice.
Yes, thank you so much. Well, I'm so glad Right Girl has survived all these years and continues to thrive and grow. Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you about what we're doing. And I hope that people listening will think about getting involved, becoming a
And how do we
mentor
get
or,
involved? How
yeah,
can we get involved?
it's all on our website. We have a brand new website thanks to the Perenkio Foundation, and it's really great. I think you can find all that you need there to how to become a mentor, how to join if you're a teen girl or gender expansive youth. Parents can find information about what the heck this is and what their teen would be doing. And there's lots of resources there on our website. It's writegirl.org, www.writegirl.org.
There we go. And with that, we were going to have everybody go to rightgirl.org and become a mentor, help us get to equality with our girls. Thank you, Keren Taylor, for joining me today from Right Girl, and see you next week. Thanks for joining me in the Women's Lounge. If today's conversation inspired you or fired you up, make sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Let's keep building this movement together. Follow us on social media at the.women's lounge or visit womensmarchfoundation.org for more ways to take action. Until next time, keep speaking up, showing up, and staying loud. Thank you.